through microphones and transducers, taking the reverberations in the room, in the gallery, and sounds that are coming from a geyser field about 2,000 miles away, and bringing this all kind of into the room. The vessels all are tied to different geyser eruptions in the El Tatio geyser field in Argentina. And when the geysers erupt, the natural frequencies of the objects are transduced within each one. Runs at about 34, 35 hertz. That's the frequency that the structures most efficiently amplify, but it's also a tone that is quite destabilizing to the structure of the objects. So as we walk through the space, we experience the sounds that are constitutional to these individual steel sculptures. As we move towards the end, the frequencies that are created are other infrasounds, other really subsonic sounds that are of different human organs, the brain, the lungs, the skeleton, the blood, the standing human body. And those sounds are also amplified when the geyser eruptions happen in Argentina. So as you walk through the space, you kind of experience the kind of sonic materiality of that which is metal, and as you approach the end of the installation, you kind of come up against the sounds that our body and our organs all not just efficiently amplify, but that are actually quite detrimental to those structures. The geysers provide this kind of external material pressure that continuously degrades the different sculptures and the electronics embedded within them and within the room. It has about 105 different points of amplification, and a lot of the construction of the technology and even of the welding of the pieces was done to allow for leakage and for breakage and for new contact surfaces to form, for failure. So it's, someone had mentioned to me the other day, they kind of felt like it was alive, and it does have its own kind of automation tied into these natural events that are happening very distantly. And but it's also it's maturing as different welded surfaces were done in a manner where the kinetics of the objects would make them break. Also, some of the electronics are within the sculptures themselves, so they're subject to kinetic vibration. And transducers, which are speakers that put sound into objects. So there's no speakers here. There's no volume per se. But what you experience when you come in here is the ways that these different transducers each project sound into the objects, and as they slowly fall apart, And as the kinetic movement of the objects shifts the welds and creates more surfaces for contact and more porosity for leakage, it just continues to evolve, it continues to age, and in some ways it's dying. No one will ever experience the same sonic phenomena twice here because of the different periodicities of the geysers, the ways in which global warming is actually impacting the volume of geysers, how often they happen, how long they happen. And because of their interconnectedness with microphones that are picking up sounds from the architecture, sounds from the gallery space from this room, and from each other, it creates this circulation of resonance that carries with it, both the sounds that can destabilize the object, but also the human. And as we stand in the room, it's not just the metal vessels that are carrying the sound, but also the human body. And so as these infrasonic tones are coming through, and then they're reverberating out and circulating in between, we are acting just as the vessels are, as these structures that are, in essence, carrying forward and amplifying tones that are in the room.
In what way are they receiving information from the guys, or how is that?
The amplitudinal program is aligned with the eruption times of a group of geysers that have a lot of data tied to them. And there is a calculation put in to the repetition of these different amplitudinal functions that accounts for the variation that each eruption has.
It is more than just the technical elements of these things. The orientation of this thing in space, right? This looks very, how would I put it? It looks like a sacred space.
Yeah, I do a lot of writing as part of my practice, and I conceived of this not just of a nave as in like in a church, and part of a larger study that's considering kind of a sonic stations of the cross, so to speak. But the idea of the sacrum, of the sacred space, and also of the space in between the bones of your spine, and this reverberation that's kind of connecting those two concepts is definitely, here within the work, the sacrum, and then this being this kind of sacrum or sanctum, a place where we can dwell on our own mortality, our own materiality, where we can come into this kind of communion with objects and experience their material shape and form, their porosities, come in here with our own kind of, spiritual or even pathological mode of inquiry and experience what nature and what these material forms and what their automation allows us to perceive, and to forge our own experience. I try to not provide too much information so that everyone could have their own kind of perceptual and cognitive experience with the space. But
for metal welded objects, maybe it's in the timing, it seems like it has a very organic feel.
yeah, it will never repeat itself, and it's reactive to both us and the architecture, but also the objects are reactive to each other in a reaction to this distant phenomena. There's no computer program. It's all just redundant, hand-wired amplifiers, microphones, and transducers on the objects. So it kind of carries on this life of its own. Some of the transducers are quite large, and they're allowed to shift within the object, so they create different points of contact, project infrasound differently in the building as the sculpture ages, and also those kinetic components are located close to redundant layers of electronics which are subject to damage, wires, adhered microphones, and transducers that all have different lifespans, so to speak. So there are these 10 systems that are operating, and I was kind of thinking of the 10 systems of the human body, and these different points of connection as organs, some of which are fatal and some of which we can live without, networks and systems of circulation. I try to have my work open to other phenomena in the world, sound being like a material pressure wave that kind of carries and resonates through all material, including air. And I always try to have, what's in essence a live element to what I do, which is certainly not the easiest thing to do, especially because some of the resonant systems within this are quite they can become problematic. They are a little dangerous, just in the sense that there are these open systems of amplification, self-amplification, that are creating feedback within the object, which is one way that I try to get at those natural frequencies and get people to experience an object. But it has a lot of volatility. It can wildly feedback, and I'm very lucky that we've gone the course of the exhibition so far without it happening. But there's a right way and a wrong way to do this, and I certainly embrace the wrong way of doing certain things.
Cool. All right. Yeah. I think we got it.
Thank you,
Good stuff.
man.
He gets, I'll tell you what, can I get you to stand over there?
Sure. You can come in. If you don't mind. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Are you off? Or?